we are working on kind of finishing up 4.3, just so there's a little bit, very little bit we have left to do on that one. And then we're going to get into chapter 4.4 and 4.5, which is counting. You have a Connect Math due today, chapter 4.3. Also Excel Lab 2 can be turned in late for full credit today. Tuesday you have Connect Math 4.4 due as well. And I would recommend you do not use the help buttons for 4.4 because they're confusing for this section. They do it completely differently than how I do it. If the way I do it is confusing for you, maybe use that way. But if what I do in class makes sense, then don't use the help buttons because that'll just mix you up. Also, Exam 1 is moved to Thursday, September 17th. We'll have a review session on Wednesday from 12 to 1 on Zoom. There's a meeting number. I will also record that review session and post it. If I get people convince me to do a separate one Wednesday evening, I might be convinced to do one Wednesday evening as well, a second one. I believe I have that day open. So, maybe the 16th.
So, 4.4 isn't due on Saturday?
Right, it is not due on Saturday. But I need, someone from last class was going to email me, hopefully they did, to ask me to change it to Tuesday. I will change that to Tuesday.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. This is review session. So yeah, if you guys want to do a review session, I could do one, like say maybe from like 6 to 7 o'clock next Wednesday. That would work for me. If you guys want to do that, just let me know. We can talk about it. All right. Moving on. Let's talk a little bit about some of these things going on, like the Excel Lab. So the Excel Lab, there were some things issues people had with the Excel Lab. So I created a new page. So right here under, oh, this is not 50. That's not going to help me any. Start here. Under the Excel Labs with videos is a help for Office 365 Excel in a Mac or PC. Some people, whenever you have a question, ask me about it, because sometimes the Office 365 is slightly different than what I have in my video, especially if you have a Mac. So, for example, how to add the data analysis pack, there's links to videos on how to do that, or directions how to do that, or how to add titles or y-axis or x-axis labels. And again, there's links on how to do that there, which will make things a little bit easier.
Yeah, I actually had a question on that.
Yeah.
I finished the lab, but it was like the first part when we like created our own bins and the frequency of the data. Couldn't figure it out because I was trying to get the data pack to work. It didn't work for me. So what I ended up doing is I did just by hand. Like, I didn't watch your videos. I just counted it myself and kind of just like filled in the blanks. Yeah,
see, you're not going to get full points if you don't do it the bin way, because then you're basically just typing in data, which is not using Excel at all.
So how many points would I lose for that?
5 out of 20. You'll still pass, you know, but the formulas are a big chunk of it. Right. So you definitely need to follow directions on the video and use that, or follow directions on the handout, right?
No, I tried to, but for some reason, like, even if I go to a file, it doesn't give me, like, an option, like options tab at all. I tried to search it up, I couldn't find it.
Oh, right, because using a Mac.
No, I'm using a PC. I just doesn't have an option page. It doesn't have any of that stuff.
Okay, so you should try these. Yeah. We can talk about it afterwards. Talk to me about it, I guess, after class. Ideally, before class would have been ideal, but talk to me briefly after class or in my office hours later tonight. The other thing that is going on, people have some questions about the questions on the lab. If you go to the board PDF for last class, the very last, oh, actually I already have it. It's in here somewhere. The very last page, or the second to last page, and third last page. So some people had questions about 5C, and I kind of showed you what a frequency polygon looked like when you're comparing two frequency polygons. And if you have two histograms, you know, your group and their group, you're comparing, and to kind of give you a better idea of how to answer that question. And you can also look at the fact that you have 100 people, they have 50 people. Do you want to use a frequency or a relative frequency on that situation? So that's something for you guys to think about. So that will help you hopefully answer that question. And then I give you some hints about here, some fairly specific hints, for answering 5B as well. So that's, again, you find that by the board work PDFs. It's the very last one for last class. And it's the second and third to last pages, I think. So that's here in the board work PDFs for this module. You're also going to want to look at the Exam 1 study guides, right, because everything you need to know for the Exam 1, how to do it, how to solve the problems are in here. There's a couple of problems I'm going to change, I think, that are a little bit easier. They're a little too hard in here, I think, so I might adjust a couple of them. Someone pointed out to me last class how I think it was I might do some things. Certainly, if you know how to do these, you're going to be fine. I'll give you some simpler ones to do for the exam, and I think I'll change one of them here to make it a little bit easier and more like the exam will be. Okay, so are there any other questions about homework or lab? Lab or homework questions? Okay. So exam 1, let's get, Constantine, can you read this for us?
One second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, exam 1. The exam is for cover Thursday, September 17th. Covers chapter 1, 2, and 4. See study guide for topics covered. Bring pencil, 1.5 pages. 1.5 pages, one side of notes. Must be handwritten. Scratch paper, 9 blank pages. Basic calculus, you'll have to write formulas for 4.4. Exam 1 part 1 available now until Wednesday. Extra credit for board course.
Great. So it's in Canvas, it's in Proctorio. You need to have a webcam. If you don't have a webcam, there are possibilities. You have to email me and we can sort that out, where you're Zooming with me live while you're taking it. It's next Thursday, a week from today. Covers chapters 1, 2, 4. You are allowed to have 1/2 page, one-sided of notes. They have to be handwritten by you. The whole point of these notes is that you have all this information, and yet you probably, most instructors say, you shouldn't let people have notes at all, and the reason why I do is my stat professor let us do it, an index card, I think it was. So what we did was I made like 2 giant sheets of paper. I wrote down everything I thought I needed to know, and then I sort of figured out what was important and what wasn't, and I kind of organized the material and got it down to this index card. And the process of doing that helped me learn the material really well. So I didn't even really need to use the index card. So that's why I'm sort of allowing you to have a 1/2 page, one-sided of notes that are handwritten. It forces you to have to organize your thoughts and organize the material and think about it. So I'm hoping that you study. It kind of makes you study without realizing it. So you are allowed to have that 1/2 page, one-sided of notes. So it's a half of a 8.5 by 11 sheet. Half of that. Here, I'll stop sharing for a second. Half of that. I should put this on speaker view. So half of this sheet, one side only. Good.
Are there any things that we can't put on it?
No, there's nothing you can't put on it. You can put anything you want on it.
If you have a laptop, how would you use Proctorio?
Okay, right. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. You also want to make sure you bring 9 blank pages of scratch paper. Because you're going to be writing out all of your work, so all of your answers should be written down as well, and any work that you need. So, if you have any sort of calculations like the formulas we learned today, your calculator can actually do them, but I need you to actually write the numbers out, like this times this times this divided by that. I need to see that you know and understand where those formulas come from, the meaning of them, and not just blindly using your calculator. This is not a do you know how to use your calculator class. This is a do you understand the formulas. After this exam, then you can use them. But for this exam, you need to prove to me you understand them. And then there's also this exam part 1, which is available now until Wednesday. So let's go ahead and take a look at this part here. So it talks about some of those pieces. How about Brenda? Go ahead and talk.
You may take it, exam 1, you may take it at 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, or 7:30 on September 17th, but it must be at one of these times, give or take 15 minutes. Let me know if you're taking it at a different time than your class. Do the exam 1, part 1 for 2 exam points in Canvas under quizzes, which must be done in the Chrome browser. You also need a webcam. If you do not have a webcam, email me for the alternate test and what time you want to do it so you can Zoom your phone with me. You must take this practice exam by September 16th. If you do not and then cannot get proctoral working correctly, then you will have to take a 0 on the exam. If using attached webcam, make a platform, use books.
Right. Thank you. Right, so you have to take it at one of those times, give or take 15 minutes, there's an exam 1, part 2, that's worth 2 points on your exam. So there's 2 parts of your exam, the first one's 2 points, and you can retake that over and over again. It's mostly for you to it's a problem you have to solve, but you can retake it, so it's not a big deal. But I want you to get used to using this Proctorio and showing me your hands and everything else. So here's the deal. Actually, let me read this part first. I think this will be more useful. So how about Malaya? Can you read this?
Exam 3 will cover chapters 1, 2,
Exam 1. Oh my God. Go ahead.
Okay. Exam 1 will cover chapters 1, 2, and 4. The study guide is in Canvas under Study Guide. You will also need your calculator, half page of handwritten notes, and 8 blank papers. If you are taking the exam at a different time, please write that at the top of your first blank paper. Example, 5 o'clock class taking at 2. Once you start the exam, you will have 5 minutes to scan the area in front of you, your working area, and get your camera positioned so that it shows your hands. If using a webcam attached to your computer, I suggest maybe making a raised working area by putting a couple large books down. They should be closed, not open to a page.
Great. So, for example, if you are using a laptop, then you want to tilt your camera down a little bit. So I can't really tilt mine. I guess I could stick something underneath to tilt it. That'll work. So now, let me stop sharing. So now, my screen is tilted down a little bit. And I probably want to back up my laptop a little further away from me, right, so that I have sort of some space. Which is why I've made all of your type in the questions, they're all 18 font. They're all large, so you can see them from a little further away. And then, maybe on your working space, you want to get a couple of kind of thicker books and put them down so that you can, I need to be able to see your hands when you're writing. So when you're writing, I don't need to see like everything you're writing, but I at least need to see the top of your hand so I can see whether you are, texting someone on your phone or you're using your whole binder of notes or things you shouldn't be doing. I need to be able to see what you're doing. So I need to be able to see the tops of your hands as you're working and what you're accessing, what you're doing. And I'm totally a jerk about that. And I'll tell you why in a second. But what I'm saying is, I'm suggesting that if you as you tilt this down, if you can't tilt it down enough, you can do that, right? You can stack it up there, or you can just tilt it down more, and then you can see your stuff. And it's kind of up to you how you want to do that. But the reason why I do that is because I've had students who work really, really, really hard. I mean, they work their butt off, and they still end up with a D in the class, working really hard. And I had some students who tried to cheat last semester, and I caught a couple of them and gave them, and they failed. But I think there might have been 1 or 2 other ones who might have gotten away with it. And the thing is that it's so not fair for the students who busted their butts and managed to pull a C or didn't even manage that and pulled a D to not pass the class when these other bums cheated and passed the class, right? That's just, it kills me. It really upsets me because it's not fair to them. You know, they worked so hard, and I had to give them a D because that's what they earned. So that's why I'm totally kind of difficult about this. And I apologize, but that's honestly, since COVID started, cheating has been completely rampant. Like, it's crazy how much cheating is going on, and I have to do everything that I can to, within reason, to prevent it. So that's my within reason is having you guys tilt the camera down so I can see your hands when you guys are working. Okay.
Professor Young, when you said tilt the camera down, so I don't have like a separate webcam. It's just like a single standalone camera. I am on my computer.
Right. That's why you have to tilt that.
I was wondering. Sorry. Yeah, I think you kind of get what I was trying to say.
Yeah. So is it a laptop or is it a computer?
Laptop.
Great. So yeah, so your laptop, you can tilt your camera down like I just did a second ago. Right? So you have to kind of take your camera. I totally screwed up my thing here by moving it around. You tilt your camera down on your laptop. So your laptop is, let me stop sharing again. Right, so here's your laptop with your stuff on it, and you just tilt it down a little bit like that, not even that much, and you should be able to totally, and you back it up further away from you. So don't have it right in front of you, have it be like 2 feet in front of you, like, you know, like give yourself a little bit of working space in front of it, like 2 feet of, or 20 inches of working space right in front of you, and then, so here's my laptop, and then 20 inches, and then there's me, so I can work here, and it can still see my working area. And it's a little bit harder to read this way, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I say you can either do one thing. What some people do is they put their laptop up on a couple of books, or they don't tilt it as much, and then they raise their working space. I think raising your laptop up on a couple of books was easier for people, because then it would still tilt down and see them.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you.
Sure. That's what, like I said, that's what my students did last semester, which worked out pretty well. Okay, good.
Can I just have, like, my laptop on the side of my desk, like how I am right now, like this?
No. Wait, let me do that again. Right. You can't, because that is, I can't say why, but no, you can't. Yeah. Yeah. I tell you what, you can, but then you need to Zoom with me in the beginning, before class. So if you need to do it that way, talk to me about it, and I can work out a spot where you Zoom with me before class, and I kind of check out your whole area, and then you do that. That could work. All right. Good. Okay. Yeah.
One more question. The notes, or the blank pages, fresh pieces of paper, you just said we just had to do a half page, and you would consider it. I'm not saying like I'm just gonna do a half page because I feel like it might not be, but
Wait, hold on. So you get a half page of notes, handwritten notes.
Oh.
That you can write on.
Okay.
And then for scratch paper, you should bring 9 blank pages to write your answers on.
Okay.
So you should have 9 blank sheets of paper, and I want you to number them. So like problem number 1, put down 1, and then write down your answer for number 1. And if there's work that you should do for it, like if it's something like, you know, what type of variable is it? Discrete. You can just write discrete, that's fine. You don't have to say why or, you know, whatever. But if it's something like, you find the probability of, or draw me a tree, then you have to draw me the tree. Do you see what I'm saying? Does that make sense for people? And that should be on there.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah. So the blank pages, you have to upload for me all of your answers. So there's 2 ways you're going to be submitting your answers. One is going to be inside the program. The second one is going to be scanning your work and showing to me. So I need it submitted both ways, and I'll show you one of the, so here is our class. Oh, not that. Let's pick a different class. So here, if you go to quizzes, you'll see exam 1, part 1 available. You can take it now. And this is a preview of it. So here's the instructions. Turn your camera right and left when they ask you to scan the room, and then use it, kind of tilt it around to show your working area. So you have to kind of pick up your laptop and kind of show kind of your area, your calculator, all the papers you're using, stuff like that. And
Thank you.
yeah, and then position the camera down slightly to show the top of your hands as you work. If you're using webcam, maybe make a raised working area. I talked about that already. And then you need to fill in all the blanks with your answers, and then also write down your answers. Write down your answers on a piece of paper, because I'm also going to grade your written work. Double check your answers as blanks, or incorrect answers will be given 0 credit. So if you don't fill it in the test, then I'm going to assume that you did it after the test on your own after looking at some other answers, and you're going to get 0 points for it. Do you see what I'm saying? You have to fill in the blanks with your answers. If you don't fill these in, you're not in the exam in proctorio. You're not going to get credit for it. That's my confirmation that you have done it in the exam and not after the exam. And then after that, you will get 5 minutes to take pictures of your pages and upload them from your phone into Canvas to get credit. So when you're done with this, you'll do the quiz, you'll fill in your blanks, you'll hit submit quiz, and then you will go over here to assignments, and this very top one, exam part 1 upload. You're going to take pictures of your work, save it as one PDF file, just like you have been for all of our proof of attendance assignments, which is why I've had you guys practice with that. And that way you can do it in 5 minutes and you aren't all freaking out and stressed out on how to do it, because you will have had practice doing it, and you submit your work there.
Professor Young, can you specify how many pages we need to have scratch paper? If we don't use
9.
them, do you want us to say?
No, if you don't use them all, it's fine. I just want you to make sure you have, I said 6 before, and some people needed 7 or 8, so that's why I just said 9, just so you have enough. If you don't use them, that's fine. Just upload the ones you use. That's totally okay. But I want to make sure that you guys don't freak out in the middle because you don't have enough paper.
This is the practice one. Can I have all my notes out?
Yes, that's fine. That's not a big deal. Honestly, the thing is, you can retake this. The practice one, you can take it over and over and over again, because it's only 2 points. So I figured if you retake it 7 times and you don't know it in the first time and you just look up the answer later and you retake it, I'm okay with that. It's 2 frickin' points. Whatever. Okay. That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
The whole point of this one is for you guys to get used to using Proctorio and making sure that you can position your laptop to see the tops of your hands, so I can see what your hands are doing and what you're accessing and what you're working on. I need to be able to see what you're doing. And so that's important. Because if you don't do that, then what will happen is when I go back through and look at people's pictures, if I check them all out, then I will probably require you to do an in-person Zoom exam with me to prove your knowledge of the material. And you don't want to do that, trust me. You'd much rather just have it go like this instead. So show me your work, make sure that you don't have anything kinky or suspicious about that.
I had a question, Professor Young. I
was
wondering if you discussed the actual time limit for the exam next week.
Right. So it's an hour and 50-minute exam. I will give you 10 extra minutes to scan your area, right, to kind of show your area around. And then I'm going to give you guys 20 extra minutes to input, because you have to input your answers, which is a little bit harder, right? You have to actually go in here and one, you have to read them, and they're going to be kind of tilted, it might be a little harder to read, and secondly, you have to type in all your answers into here. So I'm going to give you an extra 20 minutes to do that, and then I'm giving you an extra 10 minutes of just bonus time on top of that. So you have 2.5 hours total that you're allowed to do it. You'll have a 3-hour window in which to do that. So you can start it 15 minutes before class, or 15. So your class is at 5 o'clock. You can start it at 4:45. Let me think about that. I don't think I can do that. You can start it at 5. Yeah, that's okay. You can start it anywhere from 4:45 to 5:15. But it has to be completed by 7, you know, in 2.5 hours. You have 2.5 hours to do it. Does that make sense? So between 4:45 and 7:45 is when you can access it, and you have a time limit of 2 hours and 30 minutes. And it's only an hour and 50-minute test. But like I said, you have some extra things you have to do, which are going to take more time.
And within that window, we have to submit our answers online too.
No, once you submit your quiz, then you have 5 minutes to go into your assignments and upload it, to take pictures and upload it. So I know when you've ended your exam, right? I can see when you ended, when you submit, and then you have 5 minutes from that point to take the pictures and upload. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it takes you a couple more minutes, then just do it anyways, and email me and explain why. This is the first time, so I might give you a couple extra minutes if you need them, but yeah, 5 minutes. You know, certainly all of you guys should be able to do it within 10 minutes if you have issues even. So this should be done with your phone, by the way. You're scanning them with your phone. Sorry, not this. When you turn it in, you should be scanning them with your phone, and where is it? I don't have it in here. It's in here. This part here. At the end, 5 minutes to take pictures of your pages and upload them from your phone into Canvas to get credit. So just do it all from your phone. It's the simplest thing to do. Just take the pictures with your phone using Cam Scanner or Notes, save it as a PDF, and then you can go straight onto Canvas and you can upload that from your phone into Canvas.
Since we'll have all the work from the test, will you open them up like after they're graded, so that way we can see? Or do we have to ask you during office hours?
I don't know. Ask me later. Ask me after class, and I'll try to figure out what you're talking about. Maybe. Okay. Good deal. All right, let's move on to some things. And now it's been like almost an hour, and we haven't actually started anything for class itself. Let's go ahead and start this. So we have, first of all, our addition rules for probability. Let's get a reader for this one. Adriana, go ahead and read for us.
Addition rules for probability. Two events are mutually exclusive events or disjoint events. If it is impossible for them to occur simultaneously, exclusive means separate. Addition rules of probability A or B.
Probably of A or B.
Probability of A or B equals probability of A plus probability of B. Mutually exclusive, probability of A or B equals probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A and B, not mutually exclusive.
Great.
Or we can add reminder P, probability of male or female lab.
Right. So or means add. Or means add. If you can't remember that, just remember what's probably that you pick a male or female lab puppy. You add those probabilities, right? Male or female means you add the probabilities. It doesn't mean you multiply the probabilities. Or means add. This, incidentally, is always true. So you have some problems on your practice exam study guide where you had some of these pieces. You can always use this rule. Even if it's mutually exclusive, you can always use that rule, because if it's mutually exclusive, then this part here is just going to be, this part here will just be 0. So it's not a big deal. So you can always use this formula to figure out anything. If you want to know if something's mutually exclusive, then this probability would be 0, right? if it's mutually exclusive. That's one way of testing if things are mutually exclusive. That's less difficult of a test. All right, let's take a look at the next one. But the key I want you to get, the one thing you really have to remember more than anything else is or means add. Dylan, go ahead and read for us. Dylan Alexander. Okay, how about Ilya Alaya?
The multiplication rules and conditional probability. Multiplication rules would be
Probability of
probability of A and B equals probability of A times probability of B independent. Probability A and B
A and B.
of A and B equals probability
Don't forget the of. The parentheses means of.
of A times probability of B and A.
No, that's given. This is given. You guys remember this symbol here is given.
Given
Right.
A dependent and you mean multiply. Reminder probability of
Heads and heads.
heads and heads equals 1/2.
Right. So, and means multiply. So that's the thing you have to remember. People always want to add when they see and. That does not mean, it means multiply. Why? Think about, what's harder? Is it harder to shoot a basket, make a free throw and make another free throw, or just make one free throw? Which is harder, making 2 free throws in a row or just one? Two is harder, right? Making the first one and making the second one. So the probability should be less to make the first one and the second one, and should make it harder because you have to pass both tests. So, and means multiply, because multiplying, if adding makes it easier. If you add 2 probabilities, it means it's easier. You're adding more like, if I add 1/6 plus 1/6, that's 2/6. That's more likely. Adding makes it more likely. Multiplying makes it less likely, because if you multiply numbers smaller than 1, it makes them smaller. And means multiply. You have to know that. If you don't know that, then it's going to be very hard to pass this exam. Or means add. And means multiply. Okay. What's the difference between independent and mutually exclusive? Let me give you guys 30 seconds to think about that on your own. So everybody, what's the difference between independent and mutually exclusive? Think about it. Okay, does anybody have an answer? Nobody has an answer?
Independent variables don't change their probabilities, whereas mutually exclusive is exclusive.
Yeah, you're on the right track. So mutually exclusive, right, means what, guys?
It can't happen simultaneously.
Yeah, they can't happen at the same time. Or can't both happen, right? So, for example, you can't can't roll a 3 and a 4 at the same time. Like a dice roll cannot be a 3 and a 4. It can only be one or the other, right? If I pick one dice roll, it can't be a 3 and a 4. Or a puppy can't be male and female. It can only be one or the other. All right, so how about this this other part? How about independent? Anybody?
They can happen at the same time because they don't rely on each other.
Well, yeah, but that's, okay, so that's more like, they definitely, they're similar, but they don't rely upon each other. They don't affect, ooh, I should probably have this line, affect each other's probabilities.
Could it be that independent would just be like seeing that their values will be the same?
Yeah,
Would that be the difference?
it's about the probabilities staying the same. So even, so the probability stays the same even given the other has happened. So for example, like rolling a dice, rolling a 4. 4 is independent of flipping a coin. Right, we did that one in class, right? Remember the probability of rolling 4? Doesn't matter whether you've rolled a heads or not. It's still going to be 1/6 chance. I'll put in getting heads. Right, they don't affect each other's probabilities. So I will show you what we're talking about. Oops. Here. So for example, are yellow and male mutually exclusive? What do you guys think? Yes or no? Male and yellow. Everyone text to me, private chat to me, if yellow and male are mutually exclusive or not. Either ME or not ME. Oh good, most of you guys are getting it. Okay, so let's see how many people we heard from. You guys have another 5 seconds to get back to me. 5 seconds to respond before I cut you off and lose a point. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So they are yellow male. They are not mutually exclusive. Why? Because you can be both. Right? You can be a yellow male. Now the second question comes, are they independent? That's a little bit trickier. So how would we solve that one? This is about the probabilities. So yellow and male, we look at the things that have to do with male. So we look at the total males, we look at the total yellows, and look at the yellow males. And then we compare that to the total as well, which is 20. Now we're going to do proportions. 4 over 6, so my question is 4 over 6, right? 4 over 6. Does everyone see where I get the 4 and the 6? I circled them. This forms a rectangle. So you take, either the up and downs, 4 over 6, and compare it to 12 over 20. Is that equal to 12 over 20? Is it, guys? What do you think? Is 4 over 6 equal to 12 over 20? Let's set your calculators if you're not sure. This would be 0.667, this would be 0.6. The answer is no. They're not the same, so they are dependent. Makes sense? If they're the same, they'd be independent, but they're different. And so I think this is someone was alluding at in terms of that. So that would be the answer to that one. Okay, I'm going to clear this in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
For the numbers,
yes.
when we're working about dependency,
yeah.
Is there just any decimal place, or it's just like 100%? It has to be the same exact one.
Give me 366. So 0.667, 366. significant figures is when you get to your first non-zero, here. This has 3 sig figs. That has 5 sig figs. You get to the first non-zero, and you start counting there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sig figs. I only need 3, so give me 0.000123. Good?
So like compare if it's like dependent or independent, like between like two numbers.
Yep, 3 sig figs.
Okay.
Okay. All right, and then we talked about using and to figure out probabilities from trees. Trees are super easy for finding probabilities. So, for example, all you have to do is multiply as you go along the branches. And if it's hard to think of this, I like to think of this as a river flowing. So here's my river, and it branches. A third goes to red, 2/3 goes to blue. So here's the third that goes to red, this top third right here, it's right here. And then the river branches again. 1/3 goes to red, 2/3 goes to blue. But this isn't a third of the whole river, it's a third of the river, right? Because it's already split once. So a third of a third is, of means multiply, so it's a third times a third. 1 times 1 is 1, 3 times 3 is 9. You multiply the numerators to get the top, multiply the denominators to get the bottom, or just put in your calculator. That's totally fine, I don't care. So you'll see this is really 1/9. If you kind of look at it, you can compare, you can see, oh yeah, it's totally 1/9 of the whole thing, right? You can totally see that. Okay. That's just kind of what I kind of remind you guys of. So that, like I said, this tree really does make things easier for you in terms of being able to understand how to find probabilities. You just multiply along the branches. If I wanted the probability of getting a blue one, then a red one, I do 2/3 times 1/3. That'll give me blue and red. 2/9. If I wanted probably a blue and blue, then 2/3 times 2/3. Do you have to know a tree for the exam? Well, if you want 100%, then yes, because 10 points of it are going to be just drawing trees. Like, draw a tree. If I say draw a tree, you have to draw a tree. So you might as well just embrace it now and get used to it. So here's quiz problem 2. Let's take a look and see what people got for this one. Is it over here? Yep. Okay. So we are here. Oh, they did it. Interesting. I hadn't thought of doing it this way. You could do it that way, I guess. The third part isn't going to be very clear. Let's take a look and see if someone did a tree. I think a tree is clearer if you do a tree. Okay, here's one. Great. So the first thing you're going to do is you select an earn at random. So that's the first thing you're going to do. So you can pick earn 1, earn 2, or earn 3. They all have a 1/3 probability. Then, if you picked earn 1, so to be able to write on this, if you click once, you get a pen. If you click a second time, you get options. I'm going to pick the highlighter. I'm going to pick the yellow one. Okay, so earn 1 contains 4 red and 1 black. So that means that 4 out of 5, you guys don't write on yours. I gotta do it again. Okay, so earn 1 contains 4 red ones and 1 black one. So that means that there is a 4 out of 5 chance of getting a red one, and a 1 out of 5 chance of getting a black one. If you picked earn 2, then that would be 3 red balls and 2 black balls. So 3 out of 5 chance of red, 2 out of 5 black, and the last one has 3 red and 3 black, so 3 out of 6 red, 3 out of 6 black. Now, we want to find the probability. So this tree is fabulous. Find the probability that it'll be red. That's this guy, and that guy. So you're going to multiply along along these paths, here and here, we're going to multiply these two numbers to get the probability there. You're going to multiply along this path, these two numbers, 1/3 times 3/5 to get that one there. And you're going to multiply along here and here to get this one here. If someone's actually done it. Great. So here they've done that. So this is the probability of getting it from earn 1, earn 2, and earn 3. And if you do, you'll get, well, so these are the three probabilities. And you want to, you can get it this way, or that way. Oh, here they are, 4/15, 3/15, and 3/18. Now, if I want to know the probability of getting a red marble, right, am I saying I have to get this one and this one? Or am I saying I have to get a red marble this way or get a red marble this way? Which way is it?
Or.
You see what I'm saying? I don't want to, I'm only drawing once, so I don't want to do both these. This one, or that one. Or so we do what, guys? Add. Or so we add. So we take this amount, and that amount, and that amount, and we add them. And I think you end up getting like 0.63 or something like that. If everybody got it. 0.634. Make sense? Everybody good? If you didn't get it before, you should understand it now. And you should be writing it down in your sheet so you understand it, and drawing out your where'd that other one go that I liked? This one. Drawing out your probabilities. And this is a good drawing. Okay. And if you didn't do them, you can always go back to this video because it's all in the video. All right, so that was problem 1. Problem 3, that was problem 2. Problem 3 is this one here, which some people did not get to. A lot of people didn't get to it. No worries, that's okay, because these are just to kind of help you figure things out. So I'm rolling 2 standard dice and adding the numbers. So I got 2 dice, I roll them, I add the numbers. What's the probability of getting a number larger than 9 for the first time on the third roll? We've already done larger than 9 for one roll in class already. We did that in our, back here. Right there, right? Probability of getting a sum greater than 9. So if you look at your page 9 notes, you'll see larger than 9 was 6 out of 35. So this is 36, 6 out of 36. So this is, the probability of getting a sum greater than 9 is 6 out of 36. So we know that. Let me go to let me get rid of that. So the probability of greater than 9 is 6 out of 36. All right, so that means that the probability of that it's not greater than 9 is what?
30 out of 36.
Yeah. Probability not greater than 9 equals 30 out of 36. Good. Good. Now, I want to know what the probability is of getting a success greater than 39 for the first time on the third roll. This is in your homework. The earn problem is in your homework, and this problem is in your homework. That's why we're going over them here, because they're a little bit tricky, so I want you to see it here once before it's due. So the first time on the third roll, that means the first roll, I did not succeed. That was a not. That means the second roll was also a not. Finally, the first time on the third roll, I succeed. So the third roll was a yes. You guys see what I'm saying? So if it's the first time on the third roll, it means the first 2 rolls you did not get it. Those are both no's. And the third time was a yes. So this is a no and a no and a yes. They all have to happen. The first one has to be a no, and the second one has to be a no, and the third one has to be a yes. And we do what?
Multiply.
Multiply. And we multiply. So the no, the first one is a no, so that's a 30 out of 36. The second one is a 30 out of 36. And the last one is a yes, so that is 6 out of 36. And then you multiply these, get your answer. And use it in your calculator, I don't care. And you'll come with a decimal answer. See if anybody, did anybody get it?
0.116.
0.116? Great. So you will need to know that for your homework. Absolutely 100%. It will be on there. And then we had problem 18, which most people did not get to. Some people did, I think. Anybody? Let's see. Oh, there we go. Great. So we have 8 men and 17 women. 2 door prizes are awarded. Find the probability that both prizes are won by men. So I have 8 men, 17 women, which means I have 25 people total. 8 of them are men. So what's the probability the first guy's a man? That the first one that gets drawn is a man. 8 men out of 25. 8 over 25. Now, after they're drawn, the winning tickets are not replaced. You can't win twice. You get drawn, you're done. Your ticket goes away. Now there's only 24 tickets left. How many of them are men? Now there's only 7 men because one of them got drawn. So there's only 7 men out of 24 left, so 7 out of 24 is the second probability. The probability the second one's a man. So the first one has to be a man and the second one, because both have to be men. So both means the first one and the second one, and we multiply. You're going to multiply these two numbers, and you're going to get 0.093. Decimal's fine, I don't need it. Anytime you multiply or add fractions, you can totally give me a decimal. That's absolutely fine. So 0.093. What's our guideline for unusual again? Do you guys remember? 5% or less. 5% or less is unusual. This is not 5% or less. It's more than 5%, so it is not unusual. It is likely. Okay, so that I think is another homework problem you might encounter. Certainly it'll be on the exam. All right, next, take a look. How about Hanan? Go ahead and read for me.
Probability of getting at least 1 is same as 1 minus probability of getting none. Complement rule. The probability of A is equal to 1 minus the probability of A to the power of C.
Sorry, it's A complement is what that was supposed to be. My bad.
Okay, A complement. Probability of A is equal to 1 minus the probability of A complement. Probability of rolling 3 dice and getting at least 1 4 is 1 minus the probability of no 4s is equal to 1 minus 5 6 to the third power is equal to 1 minus 125 over 216 is equal to 91 over 216.
Perfect. Thank you. Right, so complement rule, remember, at least one is either you have at least one sibling or you have no siblings. So those are complements. At least one and none are complements. So it's a lot easier to find the probability of none than it is to find the probability of at least one. Because remember, we went through the whole thing of like, how many ways are there of getting at least 1 4? Well, you could have 1 4 or 2 4s or 3 4s. And then there's like 3 different ways of getting 1 4. There's 3 different ways of finding 2 4s. So you'd have to compute all those 7 things and add them up. Or just find this one way and subtract from 1. Way easier. So here is your airport quiz. The alls and the nones are simple because there's only one way of all of them doing something. It's yes, yes, yes. None is also really easy because there's only one way of doing that. No, no, no. So those are easy to compute. You don't have to worry about, all the possible combinations. Like if it was like one person, you could do yes, no, no, or no, yes, no, or no, no, yes, and you have to find all of those and add them up. But the alls and the nones are simple. There's only one way. You just multiply it. So let's go ahead and take a look and see how people did with this one. Here's one solution. They didn't, oh yeah, they kind of said it. So all on time. See if anybody else had this. Yeah, let's get this one. Oh yeah, this is great. Okay, so here you'll see that here we have 71.6% on time rate. You need to change it to a decimal. So 71% is like 71 cents. So you'd make 71 cents. And then, oh, there's a 6 after it. Just tack it on. All good. You need them, that's the probability that one person was on time. But you need all three to be on time. So the first one and the second one and the third one. So it's, here's the first one, and it means multiply. So and multiply by the second one and the third one. So again, you multiply again. Multiply all these. This is the same thing as 0.716 to the third power. If you get confused, this is not the same thing as multiplying by 3. The third power means you multiply it by itself 3 times. So you don't need to use the exponent. I'm okay if you don't. You can just multiply it this times this times this. Don't add in more things. If you're not familiar with exponents, don't complicate things for yourself. Just multiply this by itself 3 times, and you'll get 0.367. Now, none were on time. That's a little bit harder, right? Because now you need to have no, 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 right? So the probability of yes is 0.716. The probability of no is 0.284. You need 3 no's, so you need this multiplied by itself 3 times. There it is right there. It also switches back to percentage, which is kind of nice. Now, the third thing is at least one. At least one, the complement is none. So you know that at least one plus none had better equal 1 or 100%. So instead, I can just take 1 minus the probability of none. And the easiest way to do that is just take the words was on time, at least one, and replace it with with none. None was on time. None was on time. That's this one right there. So just take the words at least one and replace it with none. That's how you do it. So none were on time. And that's this number here. So 1 minus that, 0.977. Perfect. Okay, well done, guys. Nice. So let's take a look at, we're going to skip this. We need to get on to the new stuff. So here's the new stuff we're covering today. We're going to skip ahead to page, let's see, where's my, here. We're shooting over here. Oh, wrong one. What's this? Who's that? Oh, no, I've broken it off. Darn it. Okay. All the way down to almost the very end. So end and then back up a couple of pages. There we go. Bottom page 16. That's where we are. So I can get to the bottom page 16 in your notes, and we will continue from there. The first one is the fundamental principle of counting. That's the first thing that goes into your notes right there. Fundamental principle of counting. Eddie, read for us.
The fundamental principle of counting, the total number of possible outcomes of a series of decisions is found by multiplying the number of choices for each decision. Example, 2 pants, 3 shirts, 5 shoes, 4 socks. How many possible wardrobe combinations?
right? So, so here, fundamental principle of accounting, you're making decisions. It's basically decision trees as well. So here, I'm deciding on a pair of pants, I'm deciding upon a shirt, I'm deciding upon a pair of shoes, and a pair of socks. I'm making 4 decisions. Every decision is a number you're multiplying. What number are you multiplying? The number of choices for that decision. So let me kind of give it to you the easiest way to do this. So make sure you do it this way. Find a number of decisions you're making, draw a line for each decision. I'm making 4 decisions, so I'm going to draw 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then in there, I'm going to write down how many choices I have for each line. Pants, I have 2 choices. Shirts, 3. Shoes, 5. Socks, 4. So I'm putting those numbers in there, and then I'm going to multiply them to find the total possible combinations of wardrobe combinations. Like someone said, this is, let's get someone. Carla, go ahead and read the first part of this. Carla?
Kind of what?
The first paragraph on this.
Okay. This is the exact same solution we would get if we use a tree diagram, only with less words. So it doesn't give us a list of what each of the combinations are.
Yep. So we'll take a look at it. Let me show you guys. Whoops. There. All right. So we could do a tree. If you did a tree, just for the first, you had your first layer be pants, second layer shirts, third layer shoes, fourth layer socks. This is the beginning. So my first layer would be, I choose a pair of pants. I could go jeans or I could go slacks. Then off of each of these branches, I pick a shirt. I can pick a red shirt, a blue shirt, or a green shirt. If I pick slacks, I can pick a red shirt, a blue shirt, or a green shirt. This is a little mini branch of 3 choices. How many times do I have this cluster of 3 choices? 2, because I have two pants before that. So now I have 6 possible outcomes at this point. Now, I go a little bit further, and I say, okay, shoes. I have 5 possible choices of shoes. How many, kind of sets of 5 branches do I have? I have 6, 1 for each one of these. It comes off of each one of these spots. So then I'd have 5 times 6 possible options after that. And then after there, I'd have my socks after there, so that even, I'd have 4 for every one of those. So that's kind of how this tree works. You can kind of see how it ends up being 2, and then I have 3 groups I have 3 groups here, and I have, how many groups of 3 do I have? I have 2 of those, so then I have 6. And I have groups of 5. How many groups of 5 am I going to have? 3 times 2 of them. So that's kind of how this tree works. You guys try this one. So again, you have 4 decisions you're making. You're going to draw in these 4 lines, and then you're going to find the total possible combinations. Private chat that to me. Private chat. You have 20 more seconds. If you don't know what just tell me what to multiply. Blank times blank times blank if you don't have a calculator. Okay, 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. All right. So again, you're making 4 decisions. So draw 4 lines. How many options for the first choice? Pants, How many choices for pants?
2,
2. How many options for shirts?
6,
How many options for shoes?
3,
And for socks?
5.
And you are multiplying these. You end up getting 180. How do you know if on the test you panic and you're like, gosh, I can't remember whether it was multiply or add? How do you know? Just pick something simple, like 4 shirts and 2 pants. Just pick 2 numbers that aren't the same. And say, okay, 4 shirts, and draw yourself a little tiny tree, and each one of those can have 2 different pants off of it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, that makes 8. Okay, so it's 8, 4 plus 2. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, it must be times 2. That'll just help you remember. Pick a small mini problem that you can wrap your head around, and then, and then it kind of makes sense. This is pretty straightforward. So if you're not paying attention, then you're not going to get it. But if you're paying attention, you should not have trouble with this. This is a fairly straightforward one. So you guys do problem 21 on your Jamboard. I'm going to give you guys literally 3 minutes to do this. So hop into your Jamboard. I think it's around 14. It might be a little bit longer because I moved some things around. But hop in there and do this problem. 3 minutes. Frank,